I can't believe we are doing this again, but every single time there is a spike or dip in the Linux market share, generally according to the numbers on the Steam hardware survey, sometimes stat counter, usually not as much, there is a bunch of articles that come out all saying the exact same incorrect thing. Steam on Linux surpasses 5% market share in the latest survey update. Linux use hits an all-time high on Steam, passing 5% user share. Windows use among gamers fall, Linux tops 5% for the first time. SteamOS propels Linux to record 5.33% share in latest Steam survey. And we've seen the exact same thing happen with stat counter numbers as well. Linux breaks 5% desktop share in US, signaling open source surge against Windows and macOS. Every single time, the people don't understand statistics. They don't understand the numbers they are looking at and is like, oh my god, the number is so big, wow, that's crazy. And then what you see is like a month later, oh my god, Linux just lost 4% market share last month. Everyone's leaving Linux again. Oh my god, everything's dying. Okay. First up, let's do a fact check at a surface level. Are these numbers actually correct? Is the reporting showing the number that is in the data? Okay, this is the Steam hardware survey for March of 2026, so the data for last month, the data for April is going to be out next month. Okay. So, at the top here, we have the OS version. Windows 11 is at 66.85%. Windows is at 92.33%, going down by 4.28%. OS X is up by 1.19%, and Linux up by 3.10% to 5.33%. So, at a very super surface level, the number that is being shown in the articles is the number that is being shown in the survey. That is basically the extent of research that any of these outlets do. Next step is to understand if this number is actually accurate. Is this number a data reporting error, or is this a real spike in use of Linux? And you might say, well, why would it be an error? Why would Valve have bad data? Well, this actually happens really, really frequently. In the month we are currently in, let's take a look at some other metrics. Right under it, the system RAM. Right now, the highest category is 16 gigabytes, up by 13.5%. Okay, maybe a lot of people are upgrading from 8 gigabytes up to 16. No. 32 gigabytes is down by 20.31%. I know RAM prices are bad. I know things are rough. I don't think over the past month, 20% of Steam users downgraded the amount of RAM they had to 16 gigabytes. Whilst this is not necessarily related to the Linux number, it does indicate that something is weird about these numbers, but it's not just the system RAM. A lot of the rest of this is fine, moving a couple of percent either way. Let's go to the primary display resolution. Right now, 1080p is the top category. But 2560 by 1440 went down by 17.94%. Again, almost 18% in a singular month for a downgrade. But at the very same time, multi-monitor desktop resolution basically didn't change. So people are downgrading their primary monitor, but their multi-monitor resolution doesn't change. That doesn't make sense, okay? Let's go to language. You can already see it right now. 16.82% rise for English. Simplified Chinese down by 31.85%, and pretty much nothing else moved. Then we go down to the storage. Free hard drive space, 100 gigabytes to 249 is the main category. That is up by 6.98%. However, above 4 terabytes is down by 16.15%, and then total hard drive space above 1 terabyte went down by 19.98%, and, well, that sort of collapsed into every other category, but the top category just collapsed again for a downgrade. Now, again, I know RAM prices, storage prices, all that is bad right now, but people aren't downgrading their systems, they're just not buying anything. Again, I don't think these changes are necessarily related to the Linux numbers, but big shifts like this have been seen in the past, usually related to net cafes and various other big deployments doing a big shift in systems. Within the past month, though, I'm not aware of any new device that people might have been scrambling to, some new handhelds, some new pre-built computer, anything like that, which would indicate that people are willing to just downgrade their systems, and a lot more people are on these lower end devices. It just doesn't really align with anything I'm aware of. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Totally possible, but I don't think that's what was happening. What I think this is either a major correction from a previous month with bad data, or this month itself has the bad data. And whilst Valve annoyingly doesn't provide a history of their hardware surveys, all of this is archived on the web archive. Here we have the numbers for February of 2026, and you're going to notice something very interesting. I'll go to the OS numbers in just a bit, but the rest of it, almost a complete inversion of what we saw before. 16 gigabytes is down, 32 gigabytes is up. Resolution, 2560 is up, 1080p is down. Simplified Chinese is way up, English is down. Above 4 terabytes, way up. Above 1 terabyte, way up. Okay then, that is something to go on. Let's go back to January. So again, we have 16 gigabytes. Now we're not seeing any big shifts. 32 gigabytes is second place. Okay. We have the resolution. There's been a bit of a shift, but 1080p is the top category. We have English. We have simplified Chinese. They move a little bit, but nothing that crazy. Free hard drive space. Yeah, it's what we're seeing in the latest month, and above 1 terabyte is the biggest category, but no major jumps. Going back to December of 2025, and we see pretty much the exact same numbers once again. So what this indicates to me is, at least for the rest of these numbers, it seems like in the latest month, this is more of a correction than anything else. If you just look at this 1 month in a vacuum, though, it can seem like there is some giant major shift in the platform, when all it really is that a prior month had bad data, and that prior month was the outlier, and this is the norm. Now it should be clear that numbers in the Steam hardware survey tend to, I don't know why, sometimes get messed up, fluctuate in really weird ways that don't really align with the actual user base of the platform. And now we can look at Linux. 5.33% in March of 2026. What is this number? Let's go back to February. This month actually had a drop of 1.15%. So does that mean that this is a correction, but maybe an overcorrection? Well, let's go back to January. So in January, the number was 3.38%. In December, it was 3.58%. So there was a big dip here, and then a big spike here. So I think at least partially we can say this is the result of a correction, of a bounce back, of a fixing of the number that was clearly wrong during the February numbers. But there's a little bit more to it than that. When it comes to the operating systems, we can actually break things down by the operating system. So let's go purely just Linux. This will let us see the operating system versions in the case of Linux, the distros being used. And here we see something very, very interesting. So top one, obviously, is SteamOS Hollow. That is for the Steam Deck. But there are these weird entries. 64-bit and 064-bit. Out of nowhere, these just suddenly took up about 25%. And as we can see from the prior months, these are entirely new entries. Nothing with that name happens to be on the list. There are obviously 64-bit versions of distros, but nothing just called 64-bit and 064-bit. So what is that? Well, I can't say for sure. My best guess here is the new 64-bit Linux client. This is being run in a Steam runtime container, and it's entirely possible that during the beta, they just don't have it labeled correctly, and that is what this is. The question, though, is why are there two of them? And I'm not certain here, but what I think has happened is they have badly handled this, and it's counting Linux extra times than it should be counting it. That seems like the most logical explanation for why the jump was made. Whether this number is an overcorrection following the prior month, this is the number that it's supposed to be, stop hyperfixating on the number from month to month. I know it's fun to talk about, but numbers like this only matter over time. My recommendation, keep an eye on Steam Tracker from Gaming on Linux. This keeps track of the number over the years, and as you can see, it is trending upwards. But there are these weird dips that happen. There are these weird spikes that happen. If you just pay attention to the number in the current month, it's not going to tell you anything. But if you look at it over time, you can see where we are going. And over time, things are growing. I think this number is supposed to be more around like 3.8, maybe 4%. I wouldn't be surprised to see a number like this when the Steam Machine comes out if the Steam Machine is at a reasonable price, okay? That makes sense. But nothing has happened in the past month that would indicate a massive rise in users. The Steam Deck, you basically can't buy it right now because of RAM shortages, so this just doesn't really make any sense to me. Maybe, just maybe, a couple of months after the Windows 10 EOL, people decided to swap over. I just don't see it. I'm going to be surprised if this number doesn't come all the way back down as of next month. And if I'm wrong, hey, I'm wrong. That's great. I want to be wrong here, but I'm not. And we all know I'm not. So, tell me I'm wrong. Come back here a month from now and tell me how wrong I am about these numbers, because this has happened before, it's going to happen again, it's going to happen again after that, and it's going to be the same thing every single time. Statistics don't mean anything in a void. Anyway, if you liked the video, go like the video, go subscribe as well, and if you really liked the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon subscribe Silly Therapy, linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and what are your stats?